Don't worry about spoilers. If spoilers make a story less enjoyable, that just means you are relying on cheap shock value as a shortcut. Yep. I already know I'm gonna hate it. Nope. Victims of abuse moving away from negative impacts of their abuse, i.e. Zuko, and becoming healthier are not redemption arcs. Yeah, but you see they are, because he was still an antagonist. He was still a villain for a good chunk of the series. And while he was the villain, he did some not so nice things. Sometimes people do bad things for totally understandable reasons, but that doesn't mean that they are immune from the need to be redeemed from the bad things that they did. Heroes refusing to kill villains who have shown to be actively trying to murder people isn't noble, it's enabling. Yes, we've all run across those heroes. I, for one, like a good paragon. I like someone who says, no, I do not take life. I will find another way to neutralize the threat, just like Aang did. That's not enabling. When a character's body count is over 10,000 innocent lives, then that character is no longer redeemable. Debatable. Everything in the story is there because the creator wished it to be there. Trying to explain away bigoted story decisions using world building is a fallacy because you put it there to begin with. But what if the point of it being there is to show that it's wrong? You know, just because a thing exists in a story doesn't mean that the creator is glorifying it or condoning it. Something could be there to show how something is fallacious. Don't pair adults with minors, that's pedophilia. Agreed. Don't sexualize teenagers. Agreed, but I'm curious as to what your definition of sexualization is. Sometimes y'all be calling stuff sexualization when it's just people having bodies that are sexually appealing and existing. Making a metaphor for gay, trans, age representation is always inherently inferior to just making those types of characters. Take the X-Men, for example. The X-Men have been looked at as a parallel to marginalized and oppressed people forever. You can read the story and draw parallels to real life examples of oppression. They don't have to be that thing. And someone actually being gay or trans or ace or whatever doesn't make them better just because they're that thing. If there are humans in your story, restricting gay, trans, ace representation to non-human characters makes you a huge turd. I guess, but does it really matter? I mean, if they're there and they're gay, is that not the point? As long as they are being represented well, why does it matter if they're not human? If the only gay man in your work is a foppish diva, you're a huge turd. If the only lesbian in your work is an abusive rageaholic with vague angst issues and blah 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 blah, you're a huge turd. If your non-binary character is a non-human shapeshifter, you're a huge okay. If you're only autistic, alright, you know what? I'm just gonna scroll real quick. Anything that ends in huge turd, I'm not reading it because it's probably stupid. You could have summarized all this just by saying, don't have characters that rely on stereotypes. Don't have your only black character be a lazy thief with gold teeth. Blah, 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 blah. We get it, okay? We don't need 85 entries into this shit. Okay, finally she stops and moves on to something else. Justifying horny armor designs or horny clothing designs with sexual agency makes you a huge turd. Oh, nope, I was wrong. This is a criticism we hear all the time about everything. Video games are bad because they have skimpy clothes. Anime is bad because skin tight outfits. But the problem that I have here with these type of arguments is that they are actually far more sexist than anyone who has a love or appreciation for these type of outfits. Because more often than not, characters who are dressed like this are fully realized and fully fleshed out characters. They have dynamic personalities, gripping backstories, they have goals in the story, and they're very impactful. Black Widow's been sexy since minute 1 in the MCU, and that hasn't stopped her from being one of the most badass members of the OG Avengers, despite the fact that she is the least souped up or super powered of the OG Avengers. These are visual mediums. It is okay for them to be sexy, just like it's okay for Ryu and Ken and Guile and Sagat and all the other guys in Street Fighter to have the bodies of Greek Adonises. It's perfectly fine for Chun-Li to show some thigh. Anyway, moving on. If your justification is to just be honest and say you like ogling sexy characters, you're still a huge turd. Lily, on the very off chance that you watch this video, when is it okay for characters to be sexy? Why are y'all so anti-body, anti-female body in particular? I swear, for a crowd that cries day in and day out about sexual positivity and body positivity, y'all sure do like body shaming and slut shaming anyone who dresses like this or who likes people who dress like this. It's fucking no one is gonna die because a woman in an anime has some titties. Don't try and do what Avatar did. You can't. Even the people who made Avatar can't make another show do what Avatar did. Agreed. Don't try to be like Avatar. Be you. Be your own story. I recently watched an awesome show that was released this year called Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. Kipo didn't try to be Avatar. It was Kipo, and it was freaking great. Don't try to be Avatar. Don't try to be anything. Be your own thing. Because, as Lily pointed out, even the creators of Avatar couldn't recreate the magic of Avatar. Because while I like Legend of Korra, it ain't got nothing on Last Airbender. Let's not even go down that road. Perspective shifts are a staple of storytelling. Having only one perspective isn't a stylistic choice, it's just crap. Can't help but think of Steven Universe and how I longed just for one episode that wasn't told from Steven's perspective. I just wanted just one where we could follow somebody else. Why are we always following this boy? If you're making a cartoon, hire writers. Don't just have your storyboarders write the story. That's not what they're there for. Artists draw, writers write. Artists cannot take over for the writers on a whim. Yeah, okay, just... The Steven Universe shots just keep coming, and that really is one of Lily's claims to fame, that she made this super critical Steven Universe video before it was the cool thing to do on YouTube to shit on Steven Universe. She was doing it. Do with that information what you will. But yeah, related to Rule 2, will they, won't they isn't a fun story. It's just addiction peddling. Will they, won't they can be done good. It's not don't do it. It's just, if you're gonna do it well. So I don't like this whole idea of just don't do it, it's bad, it sucks. You know, someone on this hell site once made the remark, we need more lesbian non-con because purity is boring. That is a dangerous, violent person. Do not listen to them. They do not have a good point. I don't know what non-con is. Does that mean non-consent? Is this your way of saying the deadly R word? Are you talking about Ra-Ep? We'll say Ra-Ep because YouTube be shadow banning people every hour on the hour by the nanosecond. And I'm not trying to have this video blacklisted. So Ra-Ep, lesbian Ra-Ep is just as bad as any other type of Ra-Ep because Ra-Ep bad. Look at me being stunning and brave in the year of our Lord 2020. Ra-Ep victims are not villains and should never be written as villains. Don't be like Blizzard. It costs $0 to not be a misogynistic pig. Yes, true. And it also costs $0 to recognize that Ra-Ep villains aren't always women. It also costs $0 to understand that a Ra-Ep victim could also be a piece of shit. I'm gonna make a hot take right now. Y'all listen to it real time. Being a Ra-Ep victim does not mean that you can't also do bad things. And so if you have a villain in your story who has been Ra-Ep'd, that doesn't invalidate them from being a villain. Are we almost done? Oh my god, I don't know how much longer I can do this. Some of it's alright, but a lot of these are just so smooth-brained. If straight men really hate a certain character, but lesbians love them, there's a 90% chance that is your best character. Wait a minute, I have to read that again. Did I just have a stroke? What did I just read? Just say you hate cis straight men and go. Jesus fucking Christ. Mary Sue is not a real criticism. It is thinly veiled misogyny, always disregarded. Okay, so then what do you call an overpowered character whose power far exceed the pages of the book? They have the power to affect the story itself and the writers so much that the story bends over backwards to give them shit. What do you call that? Because that is the definition of a Mary Sue, and that can be a character regardless of gender. If the writers and the creators are giving them all these W's without any relatively believable setbacks, if everyone is just giving them shit just cause, that's a Mary Sue. It has nothing to do with the gender of the character. What ends up happening is because people are so afraid to give female characters flaws and setbacks, we end up with a lot of women and girl characters who have all the powers, all the advantages, can do anything they want in the story and get away with it without any real consequences. We have these characters whose setbacks are that they're quirky or that they're kind of clumsy or maybe they forget stuff, and it's not sexist to say that. Goblins are inherently anti-Semitic. Hold on a sec, I need to do some quick research. I think that more than anything else, this is Lily reading into something instead of looking at the thing and seeing it for what it is. It's kind of like how people have been doing with orcs and saying that they're inherently anti-black because they're dumb and violent and blah blah blah, and people have been saying that black folks are dumb and violent, which means that they're all anti-black. And I can see where you might get the idea that goblins are anti-Semitic from just their appearance, because they do share some traits with racist depictions of Jewish people. That does not mean that they are inherently anti-Semitic. You need to detach yourself from the modern understanding of certain iconography, and you need to embiggen your damn mind and learn some shit. Do research. Stop looking at things and just taking them for face value, because that's how you look like an asshole. Last one, cause I'm fucking done. Vitriol does not immediately render criticism invalid. If you tone police criticism, you will likely miss something important. Yes, you should listen to or read the words that are being said, but the tone does matter. If I'm reading your story and I think a particular part is done poorly, I can tell you that without coming off condescending or like I'm belittling you as a person. We see this all the time on fucking Twitter. You didn't like a story beat or a way a character was portrayed. You can tell someone that without calling them a piece of shit, saying that they're horrible, racist, misogynist, World War II villain, blah blah blah. You know, when people say shit like, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, they're really onto something. It's not that hard to not be a piece of shit to someone just because you don't like how they wrote a fucking story or a character. It's not that hard. There's a bunch more of these. I'm scrolling through them right now. Most of them are stupid. The only people who think boob armor makes sense are people who've never touched a boob. I'm just gonna say that there are several people, many of whom have had boobs for quite a long time, who would disagree with you, Lily. If you don't like boob armor for whatever reason, you don't have to like boob armor. But this ain't the hill you want to die on, pimpin'. I promise you it's not. My timeline is full of women who are saying boob armor is fine, cis and trans. So people like Lily, y'all can go suck a dick. Y'all stay talking shit about boob armor and all this shit as if it's just the worst thing ever and no woman would ever wear that blah 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 blah. Well, I ain't reading no more of this shit. I've killed enough of my brain cells. Why are y'all like this? Why do y'all hate everything? Why do you think everything is bigotry? Y'all are the worst. The absolute worst. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. This has been another venture into some bird app bullshit. I'm Animaine, and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.